dating a guy that had a child in his life?
Preference wise, yes. Yeah.
Oh, that was your
You
preference.
actually, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Give us some detail behind that.
Because I knew that he could understand what I had going on versus dating somebody who doesn't have kids and who's like, every weekend, let's go do this. And I'm like, well, nah, I got my baby at home. I can't just get up and leave because you want to go hang out. That's not how that works. So I would just prefer to date somebody who knows what I have to deal with and who can understand what my struggles may be from time to time being a mom.
Welcome to Hardly Initiated, where real men talk real shit. Your host, Tyshawn Jackson, back live with another episode with my co-host, Ryan Catchings.
And today I got the tough questions ready.
Let's get it.
We got to dig in. Anytime we gotta, well, I'll let you go ahead and do your thing. I'll let you go ahead and
let me do my thing, man, because we got this beautiful brown couple right here sitting on the couch. We ain't had a couple in a while, y'all. We ain't had a couple come spit some game in a while.
So that's special.
And I'm happy to be able to speak to these two. My good friend Dion here, Coopwood, is going to be here with his missus. We got Mr. and Mrs. Coopwood here on Hardly Initiated. Welcome to Hardly Initiated, y'all.
Let's go.
Yeah,
How y'all feeling?
Just for the people. How long y'all been married, by the way?
3 years. We've been married 3. We've been together for 12.
Yep.
Damn, Dion, how you get away with that?
Indecisive. That you was a businessman, man.
Hey, look, I'll let her answer the math part when it comes to relationships. I don't want to get nothing wrong.
Okay.
So been together for 12 years.
Yeah.
Been married for 3.
Yeah.
What was happening that first 9? What is that? 9? 8?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, because I would
start
think
off digging like that.
Well, we got to know that because it's some messages being put out there that if a man, doesn't take you to the altar after the first, 2, 3.
I hear like a 1-2 year rule going on now.
Then he really not serious.
That's not true.
Okay, so tell us about it. What was it that you knew that even though Dion had not put a ring on it yet, that he was still committed to you?
The way he took care of me, like I knew deep down inside that he loved me. Like any other couple, we had our issues, but he really took care of me. So
yeah, and for me, it was just like just being transparent and honest. We didn't really know like that. Like when we first met, she did say, she was like, "You gonna be my husband," and I'm like, she crazy as hell, like she crazy. Because at the time I was like,
she told you that.
She told me that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
first day?
I think that was the first day, right?
probably, yeah.
We typically we advise against that shit, ladies, by the way. That ain't no scalable solution right there.
Right? And so I just thought, at the time I was kind of like dating other people, and I thought she just was crazy. I'm like, well, listen, I'm dating right now. I'm just trying to figure out life. We young. We in our 20s. We young, man. We don't know what we gonna do, what direction we going. I'm trying to secure my career and trying to figure out life. And, she come with this, you gonna be my husband. I don't even know what being a husband means at this time. But, and so I was just like, hey, I'm dating right now. And if you're gonna be the last one standing, cool. She's like, all right, I'm on that. So
last one standing.
Last one standing.
Like that shit is a Royal Rumble or some shit.
Because when I was young, I was like, it was really a concept of being young and dumb. You just was doing whatever, however you want, whatever you want. And, we made a lot of mistakes and we've been through a lot. So when you say like been together 12 years, and been married 3 years, this ain't like no easy rodeo. We've been through some stuff. Yeah, we've been through some stuff, bro. So,
So like, I mean, here's the thing. And you, just for context, my man Dion is very successful. All right. We're sitting here blessed in the presence of somebody who's produced millions of dollars in his lifetime. And you somebody that is a rarity, you know what I'm saying, in the dating space, in the marketplace. And I think especially for men who are a certain status and who are successful, it's some extra vetting that got to go on, right? Like you really got to make sure that you're not just making an emotional decision, but a business decision, right? And were you thinking like that though at that point in time in your life? Because I'm sure 12 years ago, you was a very different cat. Was that like one of the main things that slowed down or really made you very analytical in this process? Or was it just because of the place of life that you were in where you wasn't even ready for that?
I've always been a forward thinker, and And so I also follow the concept of, you grow through what you go through. And so as I was going through things and growing at the same time, I was able to vet, my wife, who wasn't my wife at the same time, during that time frame, because if I was going through stuff, I'm trying to see, are you going to be there for me? If I'm going through, financial hardship or dealing with stuff with my family, are you really there for me? Are you really like just making sure that I'm okay at any given time? And so like, there'll be times where like, and this is how I kind of knew, as I was on my way up to the top to achieve success, my wife has never, ever, 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 ever. Now, don't get me wrong, she likes spending money, but she has never, ever really been about my money. Like, she's always like, are you good type of an asset. I got that more than the financial piece of things. Like I used to tell my wife, I'm like, I remember when we first got together, like if she was going to go to work, she was trying to figure out like, what were we doing? Like she was already trying to plan the day out to come back. Or like, I remember when I used to go out of town, every time I used to go out of town, she would cry. And it's like, bro, I'm thinking myself like, it ain't even that serious, bro. Like, but no, so now you get to really see that there's compassion and there's really love and there's really trust and there's really like, I'm in this for you. And so you get to watch somebody as you're growing, they're growing, and you get to watch somebody who is really there for you. And it's crazy that you asked that question, because that's one of the topics that is taking place within, some of the groups that we're around, where you got these high level, highly successful men, and half of the group are single.
Yep.
You got a third of the group that's 100% single on the market. Yeah. You got a third that's in relationships that they've been in for a while, and then you got a small portion that's married. And so it's just kind of like the unmarried people are like, what do I really do? And so now you got, like you said, these high value men, they're struggling with committing because it's like, are you really for me? Are you really with me for my money? So that's a struggle. But for me, I was fortunate enough to be able to, just grow into the person that I am today, and be with somebody who's been there with me, kind of like, so they say shooting in the gym. And so she's been there. She can tell y'all, she's been there when I acted a fool, when I was good, and when I was bad, the good, bad, and ugly. And so it's been a real journey.
I mean, so the guy should know now. I mean, like, shit, if you young, high status guy, all you gotta do is just string along for 9 years, bro. That's the test,
that don't work on everybody.
That's how it works.
That don't work on everybody. And I wouldn't say I was strung along, because we did break up for a year and a half.
See?
Okay.
We took a year and a half off. And when I say a year and a half, like he was doing his thing, I was doing my thing. There was no communication. And then at some point in time, we just came back together because there's nothing else.
What year was that?
That wasn't what it was. Let me tell you how it really was. Let me tell you
he said, what year was that? So we broke up. We officially broke up in April of 2016, and we got back together October of 2017.
Okay.
So what happened?
How deep was y'all in there? Was that like year 3 of the relationship?
No, that was like 5.
Oh, y'all were okay.
That was year 5.
We
were deep, like deep.
Because that's like when you get to the point where it's like, what we gonna do?
Yeah.
You really get to a point where you like, all right, so what's up? That's when people like normally start having like kids,
right?
And like either the kids are gonna break you, or you start really going through hardships, maybe. So once you get to like around that 5 year, you like, yo, I've been knowing this person forever. So you get to a point where you say, either we're gonna stay together forever, or we just need to cut this off like cancer so we can survive. Like I need to go. So we was at the point where we were just like, it was just like a lot of back and forth. The majority was just really me. I was just making a lot of mistakes as a young man growing into who he is and who he was gonna be. And she was just like, I'm tired of it. I'm out, bro.
Mistakes meaning dating other women? Is that mainly the mistake?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now, and just for context, both of you guys, when you met each other, you both had kids.
Yes. Yep. So they've grown up together. Like,
okay.
She was 2, he was 1. So their birthdays are in July, both of them. So she was turning 3, he was turning 2. So they've literally grown up together as brother and sister.
Okay.
Wow. So what was that like for the kids when you guys took that time apart after being together for 5 or so years?
It was hard.
It was crazy.
Wow.
It was hard.
Just listening to the kid, like, where's mommy at? Like,
it was hard.
just go to bed.
Yeah.
So your kid was calling her mommy as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I can see how that can get real tricky, especially when separations. So let me ask you this. So you meet this young lady, She has a kid. But where are you, by the way, in life right now? Like, where you at financially as a man? Like, where were you? Were you making some money at this point?
When I met my wife,
Yeah.
I was doing six figures, like low six figures at that time.
Okay. So you're doing low six figures.
But catch this. When we got together, I think I was making, was it $12 an hour or something? When we got together.
Wow.
Oh, so when you first met.
When we first met. So the how we met was her mom was one of my customers because I worked in the cellular industry. I was selling cell phones. And so her mom was one of my customers that I always take care of. She come pay the bill. I don't even want to see Dion.
She loves you. I already know the story.
Yeah,
now you got to be my daughter.
Just love me. She was like, you got to be my. She kept saying, you got to be my daughter. You gonna like her. She fine as hell. I was just like, I think this lady crazy. She just crazy.
That's called a referral.
Yeah,
That's a referral.
So I'm like, this lady is crazy. She just always for like a year straight. She's like, you got to be my daughter. Then she came to the show one day. I'm like, who's that girl? And she's like, I told you was gonna like my daughter. Came over there and I'm like, yeah, so I'm activating that phone. I'm like, can I get your number? The number on the screen, so I got your number anyway. It ain't really matter. But she like, no, I'll take your number because I'm with somebody and if it don't work out, I'll call you. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I gave her my number.
Ladies, let her have that backup.
Yeah.
Let her have that backup.
Just know, fellas, they always got a backup.
They always got a backup.
So I'm on my manager type one day and a few months later and the phone rang and she's like, hey, I'm like, hey, who is this? She's like, man, you remember the girl who? I'm like, oh, hey, y'all, I'm going on lunch. I'll be back. I'm like, so it didn't work out. She's like, it didn't work out.
Crazy.
I'm like, man, that's cool. So what we doing? What
And fellas, that's called a hot lead.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait, so what was going on during that time? Like, did your mom remind you about Dion or did you literally think of him after the
I
relationship?
thought of him afterwards.
Wow, that was a hell of an impression.
I ain't got nothing going on.
Yeah.
Let me just go ahead and call him. I think that was like 6 months later or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But see now, here's the thing though. Because me personally, I just know how I feel. I just don't like dating women with kids, personally. That's just like almost like a big no-no for me. I've tried to date one before. I remember one time I was on a date with her baby daddy picked up. I think like she picked up the phone because her baby daddy called. And like we was on a date and it was something with the kids though. You know, like at first. And then it kind of turned into I heard her say something like, don't worry about who I'm with.
I'm like, what?
And then it started kind of turning to something different. And I'm just kind of sitting there and in my mind I said, I ain't never doing this shit again.
But you don't have kids though, right?
Say it again?
Do you have kids?
I don't have kids yet.
Well,
Not
I will
yet.
understand that.
Not yet.
I could really understand that.
But that's why I want to kind of get both of you guys' mindset on that. So Dion first, right? You are in this place, you this brother, you not yet, you don't really kind of got it together yet, but I'm sure you got this vision of where you want to go.
Yeah.
He clearly was a top salesman too. So
He clearly was the top salesman. Was that something that you were concerned about? When you met this beautiful young lady now and she presented that she also had a child now in her life, was that something that concerned you?
Having a kid, nope. Because for me, it was more so kind of like, how can I complain about what's being brought to the table when I'm bringing the same thing? I got a kid myself. I mean, I think that we probably was both taking step parent applications. It's like, how am I going to say, yeah, I got kids, but I ain't trying to be with no woman with kids? Bro, that's crazy. Ain't that the tea calling the kettle black? That's crazy. Okay. Nah, so I was just like, it was cool, like whatever role I got to play. And I mean, and it's been a beautiful thing, being able to be there for it, him and, playing that role all of these years. And now, because for me, it's like, I look at, like you said, looking at long term, that's something that he'll never, ever forget. You can't forget that kind of stuff, who was there for you and who took care of you and who raised you, It's cool stuff, man.
And Ms. Cooperwood, I'm assuming you was open, you were as well open to, dating a guy that had a child in his life.
Preference-wise, yes. Yeah.
Oh, that was your
you
preference.
actually,
That was
wow,
my
okay,
preference,
okay.
yeah.
Give us some
Why
detail
so?
behind that.
Because I knew that he could understand what I had going on versus dating somebody who doesn't have kids and who's like, every weekend, let's go do this. And I'm like, well, nah, I got my baby at home. I can't just get up and leave because you want to go hang out. That's not how that works. So I would just prefer to date somebody who knows what I have to deal with and who can understand what my struggles may be from time to time being a mom. So
That would make sense too, because I mean, if you already got a kid, you want to make sure that the person that you're gonna be in a serious relationship with can help take care of the kid. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what better example if they already got one? Otherwise, I think it would probably be a real roll of the dice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, one of my biggest concerns, though, just personally, again, going back to my story, is always like, especially, you know, just because men are just these creatures, very territorial, very dominant, especially depending on what type of man you have in your life. And that can get tricky as it relates to raising a family and a man wanting to have domain in his home. So just in general, like, did y'all have to establish boundaries as it relates to like you guys' relationship to make sure that you were still able to be the head of your household and able to make all decisions around the kids that were in your household, Dion?
So I feel like I didn't really establish any boundaries, because I follow the word. So I'm just more so kind of like, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And I'm more so obedient to making sure that I just play the role that I'm supposed to play organically, not like I'm choosing a role or I want things to go a certain type of way. So for me, it just was like, let me execute on what I'm supposed to do first before I try to worry about anybody else or anything else and the way something needs to happen. But I think that also too, when you get into a serious relationship and you know what direction you want to go in, you know how you want things to go, I think you have a certain level of maturity as well. So for me, so now I got a kid with one woman and then I'm in a relationship with another woman. My whole thing is okay, cool. So how do I make sure that she's okay and she doesn't feel like there's no value there or I'm disrespecting her, and I had a child with her, or, I don't want nobody to feel indifferent. But at the same time, if I'm with this woman, she has to have, she has to feel like there's supercision in regards to both parties. And so my thing is I just made sure that I try to keep a balance in between. So like with that young lady being at a level of maturity, I say, hey, listen, we're not going to argue about our child. We're going to make sure that we do the things the right way. I'll pay what I need to pay. I'll do what I need to do to take care of my child. I'm with somebody else. This is her. If y'all ever want to talk, we can all figure it out. We can do a group text, whatever we have to do. I just think that things get hairy and things get ugly and things don't go the way they're supposed to go when people are not necessarily handling relationships from a mature perspective. It's like you have to run directly in the direction that you need to go in if you want things to be successful. Like most people try to avoid conversations. It's like, bro, you got a whole child with that person. You can't avoid conversations and not answer the phone. Or when you do talk to them, you get an attitude and you acting out of control. And if you're with somebody else, let's try to get together and say, hey, listen, let's talk. Let's figure out how we can co-parent. And that's something that we're dealing with now because, the mother of my child, she's now married. Then I'm married. And so we all got to figure out how to co-parent the best way possible because we got all these children in between us. So now it's like, I had one, she already had one. So we came together with two. Then we had our own. So now that's three. The mother of my child, she done got married and she got kids. So it's like we got these two separate households, all these kids. Everybody want to be brother and sister. Kids just want to be kids and have fun.
Right.
So now it's like if you don't parent the way you're supposed to parent, now you're taking away from children being able to be raised and just having fun and just being able to be kids. Before we know it, y'all know we know it's like, then you grown. And it's like, when you raised kind of like I was raised south side of Chicago, same with my wife. We didn't have the most fortunate upbringing and backgrounds and households. It's like I grew up in a broken home. I only met my dad a few times. So it's just like, how do you really put yourself before the kids? And so I think that there's a lot of friction and frustration that comes from relationships because people are not necessarily being responsible as parents and as individuals and being mature enough to have the conversation they need to have.
Wow. So I want to ask you this real quick because, and this is on Couture's side, right? So you got this man that you had a former relationship with, you had a kid with. I'm gonna kind of tell you what was in my situation. So when I was coming up, it was just me and my mom for many years, right?
Yep.
Maybe until I was like 4 years old. Then she meets this guy, and I guess they fall in love, that kind of thing. He becomes my stepdad. And I just remember asking my mom for something. I can't remember what it was, but it was just like a no. And when I went to school, I'm like 6, 7 years old, I went to school. I was trying to think of all these ways we could get this money, right? to get this thing. Mm-hmm. So I go to my mom and I'm like, yo, and I've never really asked about my dad, anything, not too much. But I'm like, now I'm asking questions like, yo, does my dad pay child support? Because now I'm trying to find out where this money gonna come from.
Yeah.
And I'm asking her about this because that was my solution to getting what I want. Hey, let's get this dude who I don't know, but I know I heard around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That these guys, they got to contribute financially. Right. And then my mom and my stepdad he was around too. And they was basically like, no, we don't need him. You know, don't worry about him. We don't want his money. And their strategy was, let's just pretend this dude don't exist. Let's not get no contribution from this dude. So I'm curious, like, what was you guys' strategy in terms of the financial aspect of what, you know, your former relationship or, you know, that guy he was supposed to bring to the table?
So Jordan is my son.
Pull a mic up too, just in case. Yeah.
Jordan, that's my son, my 13-year-old. His dad was paying child support. I didn't have him on papers through the court, but he was paying child support. He would give me child support every 2 weeks once he got paid. And that's just how we did it. We did that up until I think he was age 9. And at this point, he doesn't pay anything. Granted, thankfully, thank God that we are efficient enough to where we don't need the extra income. But I mean, I think when it comes down to that kind of stuff, it just really depends on what works for your household. And how you want to navigate that situation. So
he saw them checks coming in. He said, I ain't sending y'all like damn thing. He said, I see what the hell going on over there.
I mean, it's never been a case where that was a need. I just think that was just something that because that was worked out before I even came into the picture. And so for me, it didn't matter whichever way it went. Like, I've always been the one where it's like, we good. Like, even when, like, you know, because there was a time where I lived in Chicago, then the mother of my child relocated with my daughter in Atlanta before I moved here. And when my daughter would come home for the summer, I'm like, listen, anytime she come home, don't send her with nothing. Like, she don't need nothing. I'll go shopping. I'll buy all new stuff.
Like, we would literally go during the summer before she got there and just buy all her stuff for her.
Like, we good. And we talking about somebody who like, I'm talking about, I find pride in paying my child support. Like, I want to take care of my child. And I agree. Like, we was like, hey, because it was a point in time where things were rough, when she was going through like her marital stage and she just didn't want to talk and stuff was just rough. And it was just like, okay, cool. And she like, all right, well, you know, like, let's do this stuff the court route. I'm like, all right, well, cool, let's go to court. And so we went to court and just did it the right way, did it the legal way. So that way it was, and I think it was just also too, and again, this is about being mature. If I don't know what was going on at the household, but it could have been a situation where somebody was like, hey, listen, let's do things legal. Let's do it the right way. So that way there ain't too many extra conversations that need to be had. And so I've said, look, I'll support whatever we're going to do. Let's do it. So that way, whatever we need to do is to make sure we get on the same page the right way. So we talk about somebody that's still paying child support, still got your daughter coming home, still executing, helping my wife and you know what I'm saying, taking care of our son. So I'm still making sure that everything is running, everything is sufficient. Like, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. You know, a lot of people say, you know, good guys finish last. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I feel like if you do what's right, you're going to get what's deserving and what's supposed to come to you. And you got to focus on what you're doing instead of focus on what other people are doing.
And the kids primarily live with you guys. Y'all are both the primary, like, parents of both of the kids. Like, they both live with you guys.
The boy and the 4-year-old. And then we have the fifth, she's 14. We have her every other weekend.
Okay. Yeah. I want to ask you, do you think that based upon where the child predominantly lives, that parent, should they have more of the say-so of what happens, you know, in the actual, like, the decision-making of the child? Is that typically how it goes?
It's hard to say. I think that depends on the situation. If you have two people who are willing and capable of co-parenting the correct way, then the decision making can come down to y'all making that decision together. It becomes hard when you have two individuals, not even two individuals. You may have one of the parents who just don't want to co-parent and they feel like they have the last say so. And it is what it is, which it makes it hard. It makes it very, very hard, but that's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. I just think that people need to, especially when you have kids and you have multiple kids and you have these situations to where now your kid is going to one household and that's a full household and they're still blended there. Your household is blended. Everybody just needs to be able to come together for the betterment of that child. And then we all make a decision together on what's best for that child, not you making a decision or we making a decision because we just want to be assholes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to what you were saying.
And I was just going to say, it's kind of like a situation of nobody wants to be left out. Let's just call it real. Like let's just say if you had a child and the mother went and let's just say took your kid out of public school and put him in private school, and it was like, hey, yo, this kid is in private school. I need an extra $500 a year from you. You can be like, wait.
When did that come about?
What happened?
Right.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? The kid was okay in public school. Well, no, this is happening. Well, why you didn't talk to me about it, right? So it's just a concept of everybody just needs to be involved. We need to make decisions together. It's not fair for you to make a decision now. Here, listen. If you got a parent that's just not around and not involved, that's different. But if you got somebody that's trying to be a part, want to be in the child's life, yo, let's make some decisions. Even if you just running it by me. Hey, listen, just want to let you know it ain't just not about money, but I'm taking the kid out of public school because they doing horrible and I'm putting them in private school. This is a decision that I chose to make and this is a bill that I'm going to front. But I need to let you know so that way you know that your child is going to have a better education, X, Y, and Z. Now that gives you the opportunity to make a decision to contribute. So which you should step up to the plate and say, well, no, that's my child. If that's a decision that you feel like as the mom is a better decision, then I'm going to support that. And how much is the tuition? Send me the paperwork. And then I'll just send you half every month. Let's just do it the right way. That's it. I don't feel like nobody should be left out.
Now, in this relationship dynamic, because you talked about people not being left out, right? But, you still got a certain way that you guys do things. Mm. So when you got your kids, spending time with the other part of their family, and let's say they may not be doing something as, quite the way that you would do it. How do you go about having a conversation with the other party?
Oh yeah, we deal with that all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, we deal with that all the time.
Regularly.
So for me, it's more of a conversation with me and our oldest, which is obviously she's about to be 15 and she's already told me 2 weeks ago she's an adult, right? Mm. So this is what you're dealing with, bro. And so, she comes over and she'll say, this is what I'm doing. I say, listen, what happens here is what's happening here and what you're doing over there is what you're doing over there. I'm not concerned about that house. That's not my house. You got to think ain't no man gonna tell me what I'm gonna do in my house. Ain't no, you don't run my house. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm not gonna try to run yours. Whatever your mama told you over there is what you do over there. Whatever your mama tell you over here is what you do over here. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's like, even still in that, I just look at the bigger picture. It's beautiful that you got to think, bro, you got 4 parents. I think that all 4 of us here probably sitting here probably really only had one. Mm-hmm. Consistently.
Right. You're right about that.
I think that because of what a lot of us 80s and 90s babies went through in our times, we're growing up and we're saying, I don't want that for my kids. Because people teach you 2 things, either what to do and what not to do. That's it. So when you were raised and you grew up, like either your parents was together and they taught you to stay together and put family dynamics and stuff like that, or they wasn't together and you might have said, oh, well, I don't want that because I don't like the way it made me feel as a child. I always wondered what my mom or what my dad was, and that's not a good feeling. So, people have their season and their reason. And they teach you what to do and what not to do. So like my father, for him never being around, it taught me to be around. So now, you got these younger generations of people that was never raised with most of us non-existent fathers. And now the number one goal for us is if we have kids to be in our children's lives. Like that's like the main goal. And so like for me, it's like what happens here, let's just focus on what's happening here and whatever's happening there, respect that as well. Like I have a good relationship with the mother of my child's husband. So we talk consistently all of the time, just to kind of keep things cordial and also to keep things in an orderly fashion. Because, most of the time women just emotional. So things can just go haywire. Mm-hmm. Whereas us men, we just like, hey, bro, what we doing? You picking up? Okay, you got it? Okay, cool. We meeting here. What we doing? And it's just, all right, cool, bet. All right, holler at you later, brother. It's just a regular cool relationship.
Okay, so Deon, you talking about some real man shit, some real mature shit right now. So I want to ask you this because, like you said, women can be emotional. Mm-hmm. So before your former relationship, before your former lady, or your child's mom, had her new relationship. Before that, so now this is when she sees you and your beautiful wife. She sees y'all, doing well. She sees that you. Even though things are not perfect, you still keeping things in order, keeping things in place. It's all great things. A really great man does.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that the relationship stays co-parenting and that it doesn't go any further? Because I would personally imagine that if a woman that you had a past relationship with, She sees you maturing and growing and developing all of these ways and taking care of your kid to the best of your ability and making sure she's straight and straightened out, right? I can imagine that could, breed some level of desire, So how did you make sure as a man that you keep the relationship as co-parenting and nothing else?
I'm going to give a response that is not going to be
Mrs. Cooper, close your ears.
No. It's just not going to be a normal response. And I say that because I consider myself a contrarian, where I don't move by, popular beliefs. I am contrary to the belief system. And so the way that I was able to stay focused, regardless of any desires, whether it was the mother of my child or any other woman that desires, a man of my stature, at 32 years old, and I'll tell my age, I just turned 39. For the people that's probably wondering, like, how old is this dude anyway, right? Just turned 39. And when I was 32, I went through a transitional phase in my life where this is when we had broke up, for the time we were broken up. And I just felt like I just needed to get me together. I just felt like I was going through a time where I wasn't doing things right. I wasn't treating people right. And I think that I was power tripping based on my finances. Like, doing six figures, to in your mid 20s, I got 2 cars, I got a house. I mean, did what I wanted to do, going back and forth to Miami every couple months, going to live on Sunday, spending $1,000, living reckless. I just felt like I was not holistically together from a spiritual perspective. And so I went to church, baptized. I was in church every Sunday by myself. I didn't need nobody to be with me because this was a spiritual journey that I had took myself on. And so in that moment and in that time frame, I had made a vow to God that no matter what woman I got with on a going forward basis, that I was going to make sure that I stayed committed, I stayed faithful, and I did what I needed to do to lead in the right direction from a man and a male perspective. And so that's kind of like how I fought off all of those demons, because it really wasn't about the fleshly desires. It was more so about just staying in spiritual alignment in order to make sure that I was leading my house in the right direction, because I had led my house in the wrong direction. It was chaotic. Like you said, like now my daughter's like, hey, where's mommy at? I remember riding in the car one day and, my son was in the backseat and he was like, so why do you and mommy argue? And I was just like, bro, this stuff was just you could break you down when you got kids and you create these little versions of you, and then they asking questions as if they're adult, and you like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. And you think to yourself, like, what are they listening to? What did they see? What did they hear? Yeah. You like, damn, I thought we had the door closed when we was talking about that. We had that argument. No, bro, they are tuned and locked in. So for me, regardless of and trust me when I tell you, like, I have dealt with some of the craziest, let me try to get them type of stuff. I'm talking about text messages, phone calls, DMs. It's crazy. And so my thing is I'll stay focused because I feel like there's value in what I have and I don't want to jeopardize it, anymore. That's just where I'm at. So there's nothing or any woman that could potentially come in and ruin what I have. Because I think that when you look at relationships, I think that there's 3 things that will keep people together or break people apart. I think it's infidelity and finances, and I think it's children. Like if you have a child, either that's going to make you stay together or it's going to break you. Mm-hmm. Like children, it do something weird to the people that's when you're in a relationship. If your finances is not right, that can cause you to break. One person may feel like they pulling too much weight and vice versa, regardless of whether you're married or not. We've all seen this stuff happen. And then infidelity, like, can you keep your pants on? Mm-hmm. That fleshly desire is crazy, bro. Like it's really crazy. And I'm not saying being a man that is, you don't have flashbacks or you don't think about certain stuff or you don't be like, God, like you could just be like, I could be anywhere and see an attractive woman, but it's like, I have to just stay focused because it's like, what does that look like, bro?
Right.
It's like, what does that look like?
So you be having flashbacks?
That's what,
see,
I try not to laugh.
No, that's really what they do.
I think
that's how they think. They really got me thinking like that.
It's just memory.
I caught it. So you be having.
But
think about this though. Think about this. Think about somebody of my magnitude. And this is why I always check myself. I always tell my wife, and she can admit this, anywhere I go, I always say, this is what we've done. Like I always say, this is what we've done. I've never really said like, this is the money that I make, because I'm just trying to keep myself grounded. Like I just want to keep myself grounded. But just think about that. Think about my mindset. It's like, yo, being a multimillionaire and thinking that you can have anybody, you can have anything, you can go anywhere, you can buy anything. But it's like, you're like, all right, cool. I just got to do it with this one person. All right, cool. But most people, they can't handle that. You like,
Hell no.
bro,
No.
I could buy anything. It was a guy, and I don't read a lot of the comments on my Instagram, but it was a guy that commented and he at me on somebody else's post. So I'm like, well, why you at me on somebody else's post? So I went on, I think it was Will post. Will posted something about him and David and the money that David made, and we was all talking in front of the Lambos. And I commented like, yo, that was like super fire. And the dude was like, that was super crazy cap. Like y'all capping, y'all not making the money y'all making. And I'm just thinking to myself like, bro. And he was like, you can't even afford one of those Lambos, let alone 3. I'm like, bro, I really can't afford all 3.
Why would it's crazy. I don't even know why
You get
people
that
say
a lot,
yeah,
though.
it's crazy.
Like, it's like, so even to just think you in a position to be able to bat, like me and my wife was talking the other day and we were talking about the house and she was like, this person just paid for their house cash. I'm like, I mean, I could buy a house cash, but I don't think that that's a good financial decision. Me being in financial literacy, it doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Like I need to take my money and put it into other parts of my business and other business investments. Like it don't like make it make sense. Like even to the point to where it's like me and my wife was having a conversation. We were texting the other day and she like, yo, I want some tacos. And I'm like, well, book a flight to Mexico. Like, let's just go get tacos then. It's like, bro, I am doing stuff that people can't do. Like this ain't regular people shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm able to do this and it's like, you have to find some way to control yourself, bro. Like otherwise you'll lose it all. The faster you get it, the quicker he'll take it away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like how y'all...
Hold on, I just want to add to this. Did baby moms ever try to position herself in any way to make herself attractive?
I don't think so. But see, my wife be seeing stuff I don't be seeing. Sometimes I don't see stuff.
It go over his head.
Yes, I don't be knowing.
You asked the wrong person that question.
Yeah, it go way.
So let's ask the right person. Yeah.
No, she didn't. No, me and her actually had a relationship, like a really good relationship.
Okay,
we shared the same birthday, so
wow.
Yeah, we had a
Don't y'all say that.
we had a really good relationship up until a few months ago, and I don't really know what happened, but you know, it is what it is.
So when it comes to this, because this is a tricky part too. I grew up actually with a stepfather in my house too, and I know how one important aspect that's always tricky with any step parent, especially a father who's typically the disciplinarian of his home, is disciplining the children, right? Mm-hmm. So how did that look in you guys' household? Like, how did you guys introduce that to the children? Do you just pull back completely and not discipline the kids? Or is it like a strategy to that?
Let me take that one. So like, I'm like still kind of like a kid a little bit, you know. I've always been raised and my mama bought me everything. And so I bought him everything. And so when you don't do, like I told my son, like, pick a new, I'm gonna just buy him like new ATVs and dirt bikes and stuff. And so it's just like, there's nothing that they don't have really. And so it's like, when you do bad, I just take all that shit away. Like, give me your, bro, like give me everything. Bring me the whole computer. Bring me the whole computer.
Everything.
You ain't leaving the monitor stay. I told him once, I said, look, I'll take the TV off the walls and this bitch, you keep acting a fool. Like, wow. I just take everything. Because they love that stuff.
And for him, he doesn't act a fool. He just have a hard time sticking to his chores. That's his issue. He's not a bad kid. He don't do anything like crazy and off the wall. Kids will be kids, but he has a really hard time with doing what he's told in regards to chores and remembering to get it done. That's his issue.
What's some first world discipline going on over there?
And think about this too, you know, just from a man perspective, being a natural innate leaders that we are, children fear us anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying that they're supposed to, you know, whatever, because the only person that's supposed to be feared is technically God, but it's like, there's a natural level of respect. And so it's just kind of like,
if you're doing what you got to do.
Yeah, if you're doing what you got to do, for sure. And so it's like, we don't have to whoop children. Like, bro, you just have a conversation with them, and if you're gonna do what you're supposed to do, or I'm just gonna take your stuff. And I think that taking away a child's, you know, belongings and stuff that make them happy, that they love, like their cell phone, the video games, the computer, like he's into like computer gaming. So taking that mouse and that keyboard, and bro, his life is shattered. But think about, so if I physically abuse you, then now that's like, now you're resenting me as a father figure, on top of the fact that if I whoop you at 1 p.m., by the time 7 p.m., you having fun, you back on the video game anyway. What we doing? It's the same repeated cycle. But like I'm a dog. So if I take your phone, I got that joint, you ain't getting it back until May. Holler at me in May, player. Holler at you in May? I ain't never doing whatever it is I did, I'm never going to do it again. Like, I want you to think about this. It's like being in prison, bro. Don't act up with me. Like,
And see, I'm giving it back in 2 days. Like, here, get your stuff.
Yeah, that's what the
Just
mamas
get your
do.
stuff.
That's what the mamas do.
super soft.
It's a
bro.
halfway
When they
point.
feeling better, you know,
Yeah,
about the
because I
situation.
get tired. He be in my face too. Like, can I? Like,
no.
get your stuff. Go.
No.
Now, y'all mentioned what we've built, which I like. I like to hear that from my married couples.
Yeah.
Now, you know, Tyshawn and I are a partnership as well, just like you guys are a partnership. Now, I know that, you know, we don't do the same things though. You know, we did the same things. You
damn right.
We wouldn't work out, right? We're different people, right?
Yeah.
Different roles, so to speak. So I want to talk to you guys. What is the current role that you two play in the relationship now, and had it always been like that?
Okay, so I'll be honest, it has not always been the way that it is now. I think that there was some maturity and some maturing that I had to do in order to get us where we was. Because remember, like I said, like the man is the head, not the tail. So we guide and redirect the relationship. And so I just had to get to a point to where I think that as the breadwinner, I was just like, I can't keep using that as a form of like when I make mistakes or like doing what I want to do and stuff like that, because I think that, you know, when you're the breadwinner, you think that it gives you an excuse. Like that's a tool for an
It's like a
excuse, and it's
control
not.
thing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like
okay.
that.
It's like
So-
a control.
That's toxic,
control,
Dion.
control mechanism.
But that's most men. Most men just be like, yo, like I'm making money and I do what I want to do, and I either you gonna roll with it or I could replace like what you want to do.
Wow.
And so I had to grow into becoming a different type of person from that aspect, which put me in a position where I had to drop my ego and focus on we go. That was it. So I was like, all right, cool. You can't really be about you, you know, and just focus on like we go and not ego. So I'm like, all right, cool. It's just as us. This is what we got. This is what we've built, because I had to realize that every single piece of my success that I've had is because I have a really good supportive foundation at home. You know what I mean?
And when you would pull that card, how did you see your wife react to that? Or like what was the response from her?
I mean, you can ask her, you know, I don't think that it was a good one, you know.
I didn't like it. I would tell him like, you use that against me, or like you use that to try to slap me in my face. And it's not a good feeling, because just because you're making the money does not mean that I don't do anything to contribute to our household. So it's very unfair for it to be said, because I do just as much as you. I just don't bring in the income. So
Directly. Right?
yeah.
And was there any long-term resentment that was caused from it? Or was it, you know, you kind of had to work through it a bit at a time? Or how did that work?
Long-term resentment.
Or did it impact did it impact your willingness to be as vulnerable and still stay committed to the role that you had?
At some point, yeah. Which that's another thing that played into, you know, us having a split too. It wasn't just him wanting to do what he wanted to do. It had a lot to do with the way he spoke to me, and me sometimes feeling, you know, belittled and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just after so long, you would just hope that the person that you're with is willing to grow. Yeah, and he's grown a lot.
And I'm glad we're talking about this, because I think that's what a lot of women are afraid to put themselves in that vulnerable situation where you are playing this role. Because the man at that point, I can imagine all men, you know, they, especially the better they do, the risk of them,
Bro.
you know, pretty much holding that over your head is probably insane.
Bro.
And I think a lot of women are very, just timid or apprehensive.
No, I mean,
about that.
and honestly, I think it's just kind of normal that like if you kind of want this, I mean, this, you know, this is just kind of what it comes with, right? Like if I get this kind of man, it just kind of comes with these certain things. Because for example, I mean, right now, you know, Dion is in a position where, you know, you guys both, obviously it's a marriage, you know, but Dion he can generate, you know, millions of dollars. And most of those guys are going to feel like they should have some privileges that comes with that. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Like, did you ever feel like in your mind, because I know a lot of women feel this way, did you ever feel like if I was able to get a man like this, I'll be more open to him, you know, being able to have, you know, maybe like some fun outside the relationship or something? was that never something you was open to?
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay.
I had a woman one time try to take me
Get
from
somebody
her.
else to do it.
Yeah.
Because
Really?
I ain't doing it.
I had somebody try to take me from her, and she was like, you should really give me a chance. She was like, and I could submit to you and I can do whatever you need me to do. She's like, I know how you like it. I got you. And I
She said, I know how you like it. Damn. Where she
I was
learned
like,
that?
I said, no, you lying. You lying. I said, you just lying.
Who said that?
I don't know.
She about to get X'd out real bad.
I was just like, I'm saying on the phone, like, you lying. That's not, you not going to do none of that. You're going to get me and act a fool. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Right.
nah, I'm cool. I'm good. Nah, it wasn't worth it. Nah.
See, I really respect that though, Dion, because I think it takes a lot. Many of the brothers that we've had on here, a lot of the successful brothers, they've all said that one of the challenges of having success and abundance is figuring out how to discipline yourself and be able to have these guardrails so you know not to go way too far left, way too far right, and you can stay headstrong even in abundance, even in privilege. And that's a difficult thing to do. And a lot of people, they say they want $1 million, but if you get $1 million, would you be ready for $1 million? Mm-hmm. You know, or any level of abundance at that. Mm-hmm. And that's just like a personal decision that you've made. Funny thing is, we was at a bachelor party this weekend, kicking it with a bunch of guys.
Nice, yeah.
And we was having some real deep conversation, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a big shout out to Juan Pablo. He's getting married, one of our mentors. And he was talking, we all started having bro talk around marriage and commitment. I found a few things interesting. One, I found that every brother in there damn near had a different definition of what commitment was.
Oh,
Yeah, it was insane.
So we literally went around and we asked
Wow.
everybody, like, what, like, who's in a committed relationship? Some people raising their hands, some people not raising their hand. And you ask them, like, what's
committed?
Yeah, what does committed look like? He like, I mean, shit, I got an old lady, but you know, I'm slow down on the fucking every now and then. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's committed.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, that's committed. And you know, another dude committed,
That's
you know.
crazy.
It means
Dude
he's
married and
it means he's married.
and
Then-
exclusively, you know, dealing with this one woman. So everybody had this different definition behind, you know, commitment. And one of the brothers there, you know, very well established, getting money brothers. I ain't about to call his name. I'm gonna preserve this brother's brand. But he was on that edge of things too. Because he was like, yo, yeah, listen, I mean, I'm getting money, I'm doing this. So I should have the right to have a woman, and she should be 100% okay with X, Y, and Z going down because she's gonna be taking care of this and that.
Yeah.
And he was able to, you know, back his philosophy, you know, biblically, you know, back his philosophy in these different ways.
What was the biblical?
And
Abraham had many wives.
yeah, you know, whatever dudes in the Bible have a bunch of wives.
We ain't gonna throw Abraham under the bus either. Nah.
Right.
Let's preserve him.
But see, so it's interesting because I understand how different men have different philosophies around how they should be able to move, especially as they have achieved these certain levels of success.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, you need to go and make sure you find somebody that's going to allow you to do those things, because outside of that, if that woman is not allowing that to happen and you do it, that would dismantle your whole household, your entire household. So
I can say as you know, as I was on my way to what we would consider the top, and I still think that there's a ways to go because finances don't you know, consider whether you are in your life. But I feel like there's still a lot of growing that I need to do. But I feel like prior to me getting to the point that I'm at now, I think that I was at that point, like where I was like, I felt like my income gave me an excuse to go out and be with this person, be with that person. I mean, and she saw it firsthand. I mean,
I always found out.
yeah, so it was just like,
I always found out.
And I feel like, it's always an open case. That's why.
Yeah.
It's always an open case.
yeah. And it was like sometimes it was just like, it was even like disrespectful to the point where it's like, forget it, I don't even care if she find out, like, you just gonna have to just deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's just what it was. And then so you get to a point to where you mature. So for me, I feel like, you know, being committed is almost kind of like, the word submit. It's kind of like when you submit, you're sub to whatever the actual journey is. So if the journey and the goal is to actually be together and stay together forever, then I'm going to submit to that. And so it's not necessarily submitting to the person. Like I submit to her, she submits to me. When you talk about submit, it's like I'm going to be sub, which is secondary to whatever the main goal is for the relationship.
I like that. I want to, so my ideal situation, I'm going to have me a woman that's also, responsible for taking care of the home. That's my situation, or that's my ideal situation. Now, a lot of women would say, well, hey, what about this woman's dreams? What about her goals? What about things she wants to do? And in my mind, I'm like, dreams?
What you dreaming about?
Yeah, what you dreaming
about these kids?
Right.
That's so unfair.
Right. So I'm sure
okay.
that's not okay, right? I'm sure it's not okay. So let me ask you, like, when a woman accepts the role of being the homemaker and taking care of all the things that come with that, what is she sacrificing?
Her dreams, her goals, her desires. She is sacrificing herself to make sure everybody else is okay. And you have some women that do that the rest of their lives. I don't want to do that. But
I get it.
Yeah. But you do have some women that do it the rest of their lives, and they don't never put themselves in a situation to where they can go out and do what it is that they feel like they wanted to do 20 years ago or 30 years ago, or however many years ago that it was.
Here's the double-edged sword of that when you talk about relationships. The person that you may like get with or be when you get with somebody is not necessarily the person that you are 5, 10, or 15 years
That's a
later.
fact.
So what you have to do is you have to be okay with you pivoting and allowing that person to adjust to the pivots in the direction that you want to go in. Then also too, that person has to be okay with receiving it too.
Yeah.
So like the person that she is today is not the person that I originally got with.
Right.
And so I think I've probably watched her change maybe twice in the last, 12 years of being together. So now she's like, yo, I don't want to stay at the crib no more, bro. That was fun.
Granted,
it was cool.
I loved it because I loved, especially with my youngest baby, I loved being able to be at home with her. I did put her in daycare at the age of 6 months, but to be able to drop my kids off at school, go pick my kids up from school, come back and have dinner and stuff made, clean my house and everything like that, I loved it. But I got to the point to where I'm like, okay, I'm tired. He out here doing great. I want some of that. Like I want to be some of that. I want to be like that. I don't want to be exactly like that, but I want to meet my husband where he's at. And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. And so I have to adjust to that.
Right.
I got to adjust to, all right, cool. So what does this look like? And so it looks like she's been in school for 9 months. She just got past a state board exam to become an esthetician. And it's like for the last 9 months, we've been just trying to have to figure this thing out. So you gotta think. We just
chaos.
This, as of tomorrow, will be our 1 year anniversary living in Georgia. So that means that 3 months after we moved here, for the last 9 months, we've been trying to still move in our house, still moving in.
It's chaotic still.
And then we shared our house with my mom because I was still building her house. And it's like, so now we moving into a new house, just moved out of state, taking care of my mom, still trying to get our house situated. Now she's in school and we got all of the kids. It's just a lot of stuff going on. I'm still trying to run my business. And it's just like, I had to assume a different role. So now I'm dropping off kids and now I'm picking up kids. And we just trying to figure this thing out and just making it work the best we can make it work.
What's it called? It's like pitch and catch.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
How did that affect you emotionally?
I actually liked it.
Okay.
Cause I would say, I'm like, it's crazy. Like I just need to know what's going on so that way it doesn't interfere with me running my business. But I enjoy being a fucking dad. Like I ain't tripping, bruh. Like, because I'm watching, I remember these kids when they were 1 and 2. Like this is crazy. Like we talking about our height now. Like talking about they liking the other sex and crazy. Like, so this is, it is
Or
like,
they adults.
this ain't
They ain't kids no more.
Time is gone, bro. Like I remember I was 24
Yeah.
when I had my kid, bro. I ain't 24 no more.
Yeah.
I ain't even 30. I'm banging on 40. So time is just rolling.
It's like that even with the 4-year-old. Like, it's like I blinked and my baby ain't my baby. Like, she's 4 going on 24. She's not my baby no more. So you just want to soak up as much of it as you can because it goes by so fast. So fast. And you can't get it back.
And let me ask you this, Dion, I want to know this too for the fellas out here that's kind of probably tinkering and not 100% sure on their philosophy or kind of how they want to do things. Would you say that you making that commitment, right? Did it have an effect?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I know he gonna ask. I know he gonna ask. Go ahead, bro.
Did it have an effect on your paper?
Yes, it did. Yep.
How so?
When I wasn't focused and I, let's just say, messing around with other women and multiple women and stuff like that, bro, that's time, energy, and effort that, bro, I can't know. You are distracted, bro. You can't even focus. You got to sit down. Like, I tell all my non-married friends right now, especially the ones that's like, they around me and they like, yo, bro, I need to get to the next level. Well, you need to find you a nice lady and you need to sit down with her. And if you trust her and you love her and you feel like you could be committed to her and she feels like you feel like she could be potentially the one, you need to marry her, bro. Like, ain't no time limit on none of this stuff. Like, if you feel like you got the one, go ahead and execute on that, because it'll be better to come home to a home cooked meal, a clean house, and somebody that you know gonna love on you and do right by you, and you ain't gonna wake up and your jeans have been ran through. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't want somebody dude setting you up and coming through the back door and she didn't say, dude, get you one good woman and sit down with her. And then now you could just focus in on the actual task. And then what happens is you got somebody that actually supports your goals and supports your dreams. And all of the married fellas know, like I know, that are ultra successful, that woman is really giving you superpowers, bro. Like, to hear somebody say you're doing an amazing job, you're doing good, thank you for taking care of us, thank you for taking care of the family, it makes you just want to go and just continue to just dominate the day, dominate the week, dominate the year. And like I always say, dominate the decade, you feel me? Like, because it's like, bro, I got somebody that's in my corner, somebody that I can trust. Most men ain't being vulnerable. So it's like, at what point in time are you going to be able to take off your cape and say, this is what I'm going through, so that you can get recharged and you can get, you can get that abundance, so you can go out there and do it again tomorrow. Because a lot of us, as you know, especially as black men, we're getting beat up. Every day we dealing with a zoo, it's a circus, we getting our head beat up. You got to be able to come home, lay your head down and know that everything is okay, so you can go ahead and go attack the next day.
So you're saying that these young men need to have, and more specifically in your strategy, you telling these rich, successful men to go ahead, marry, getting these non-prenuptial agreement-based marriages. That's what you telling them to do. Huh?
Hey, listen.
I ain't trying to get on video saying that. I ain't trying to get that on record. Keep that on record.
Because my boy Dion got an interesting philosophy on them prenuptial agreements.
That's because he chose wisely. That's why.
Yeah,
that's because he chose wisely.
In fact, no, that's because he vetted for 9 years.
Right.
You better put some context on that.
It's like take your time, but don't take too long, brother.
The thing about it is that I didn't even pressure him into marriage.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
Bro,
What she said? Go over ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When did I pressure you into marriage?
Look, we had moved into our new house. We had just got engaged. She said, I don't want to go into the new year without being married.
That's not a pressure.
No, that's pressure.
We were already
That's pressure.
We were already
That is
engaged.
pressure.
But we were engaged. That's not a pressure. That's not a pressure. We were engaged.
I got you, Dion.
Oh, well.
Hold on, look, watch this. Look.
That's not a pressure.
It's some people that's engaged right now.
That's their problem, not mine. That's their problem.
It's some people-
not mine.
it's some people that's
and they may
engaged.
be engaged because they got some issues going on within their situation too.
But if that woman come to that man and say, I don't want to go into the new year not being married, she may run him off.
That's pressure.
That's pressure.
That's not pressure, because guess
That's
what
pressure.
he could have said? Well, baby, I want us to have an actual wedding, so let's wait. And I'd have been like, okay.
No. So I said,
okay.
no, she wanted a wedding, and I didn't care for a wedding. And I said, you go get one or two things. Either you can get a new house or you can get a wedding. We not doing both. We was at the courthouse and with a new house.
At the courthouse. Yeah.
That sounds like
And I didn't have a problem with that.
king right there.
Hey, round of applause on that one right there, Q. Right. Shout out to the smart financial decisions being made with the wedding, the home over the wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
Bro, we went to court and went to the restaurant and we probably
That's
spent $1,000.
We had a party the day after because it was New Year's Eve.
$2,500.
Yeah, but it was like we had a really good time.
Yeah, no,
and didn't
facts.
spend a whole lot of money.
That's a
we
fact.
had a really good time.
So did y'all do something with the family, like reception wise, something like that?
At our house, we had a house party.
House party.
Yeah.
They like that better anyway.
we got married.
mansion, son.
Yeah, we got married the day
It's a
before
venue.
New Year's.
Yeah, and we had a house party the next day. Everybody came over.
Yeah.
We had a really good time.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Man, that's beautiful, man. Shout out to you, man. You have literally proved a lot of what's going on in the chamber of the relationship space.
Oppression.
Saying that these a woman with a child can't get a rich man. That's a damn lie.
That's a damn lie.
Look at that, because she figured out how to pull it off.
Yep.
Listen, that's the coaching program you need to drop right here, because the ladies want to tune in.
I hate when people
to
say
figure
that,
out how to
though.
do that.
Nobody is going to want you because you got kids. Who was that?
That's crazy.
Kevin Samuels.
That's crazy.
He did say that.
God
He did
rest
say
his soul.
that. God rest his soul.
God rest his soul.
And peace be with him.
I do got one more question, just one more at least, because you know, you do meet, you know, men have wives or men in a relationship, and just from my experience, I think not all women present themselves in a way that I would say this is a wife, you know. And one thing I say about you, Mrs. Cooperwood, is that that's you do that, and I found that over time, with my interaction with you, you're a little bit more open. You know what I'm saying? And I think that I think that's what a wife does. Like, a wife is not gonna be all like, I don't know you, dog.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I know you know my man, but I don't know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what would you advise the young wives out there, or the women that are, you know, in these serious relationships? What are some ways that they can present themselves where the other men that come around their spouse respects them as a wife?
First and foremost, I will say the way you dress can say a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Years ago, like when we were originally coming up, I didn't dress the best. I dressed the way I felt like I wanted to dress. And then once I had my daughter, that kind of switched, because I'm like, I don't want her to see me in a certain way and think that it's okay to carry herself that way. So I would say that it's really all about the way that you carry yourself, the way that you speak, and then the way that you interact with the other sex. Some men may think that you're taking it too far, the way that you interact with them. So just be careful with that, because you don't want them to look at you crazy. So.
I agree with that.
That's a fact. Well, listen, man, I appreciate y'all for coming up on here and giving us game, giving our people some game, sharing y'all stories and opening up your home to the people. Hopefully y'all got some game here so y'all can avoid some mistakes or go about taking some of this, put it into y'all relationship to have a better one. And as y'all know, before we can really get this money or have a legacy, we got to have a strong family. And I appreciate what you guys have done and what you guys have built and are still building. And as a matter of fact, I want you guys to let them know where they can get in contact with you.
Yeah. So you guys can follow me on Instagram at Mr.Phenomenal-Power. On Facebook, it's Dion Cooperwood. And then all of my other platforms, it's the same, at Mr. Phenomenal-Power. On TikTok and all those other social media
YouTube,
platforms.
TikTok, Instagram,
all
Facebook.
that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So either one of those, you can find me. And so, if, you know, you guys need to get contact with me, that's how you can find me. And I do everything mindset, financial literacy. So you need to get your money right, need to get your bag up, need to get your credit in order. I'm the guy to come see.
That's step
Absolutely.
one before a relationship. They can get all that right before you even start.
Listen, stop dating these people without asking what their credit score is, okay? Start right there, family. And listen, if you feel like she or he is the one and they don't got their finances, their credit in order, then be willing to be patient and help them along the way. Get them the keys to success.
And Mrs. Cool, tell these ladies how you can get them right, because they need help with how they look.
Wife training coming soon.
Yeah, right.
Wife training coming soon.
All right, so you guys can find me at Mrs.Phenomenal-Power. That is on Instagram. You can also find me on Instagram at Skinful Beauty. Actually, it's Skinful_Beauty, and that's SKYNFUL_Beauty.
Yeah.
And listen, that's how you know it's a great relationship, because she got to take the last name and the handle.
Absolutely.
It got to be official.
Right. That's true submission. Right? Y'all women having them little double last names and them whole different Instagram handles. She ain't really rocking with you, player.
She ain't committed.
Hey, she got one of them backup dudes, you know what I'm saying? One of them backup. Hey, but listen, thank y'all for tuning into another episode of Hardly Initiated. We are out.